Greetings. I'm Christopher Logan Hilt, the G.I. Joe Gamer. Tonight on From the Hilt, I've talked a lot about G.I. Joe, so tonight I'm going to talk a little bit more about it, mostly the figures, but tonight I'm going to look at a bunch of comics and share my collection with you a bit. Before I do that, I want to shout out a few people that I've already mentioned in the chat a bit. Spine Ticks, their channel on YouTube does really cool stuff on Saturday nights. It's a later show, but it's a lot of fun. They share comics and talk whatever they feel they want to talk about that night. Spine Ticks during the week has videos about cards and figures and whatever else he needs. And he's here for it. How you doing, Spine Ticks? Also, I'd like to give a shout out to GM Cody, who's doing a now he's supposed to read some of it, Lord of the Rings, tomorrow night on his channel. So check him out too. Now, one more little shout out to a friend of my family's. That you're welcome, Spine Ticks. I have a friend of my family. My wife, her sister has her best friend that is her roommate and helps her take care of her kids. Really a good gal named Donna who donated generously to my family this last weekend, and we were able to get some things we needed, and I was able to pick up some fun stuff. So I was going to show the couple of things that I picked up this week. I got a torpedo, which I will definitely be doing a video for in the future, and Copperhead. So I managed to get two water figures, one for Cobra, one for Joe. So just wanted to share those a bit before we jump right into looking at comic books now. Like I said, I normally talk a lot about figures, so let's talk about my comic collection a bit. I do have issue number 1. Now, I really like this one. It features all original 13 Joes, also Cobra Commander, Cobra Troopers, and the Baroness is in here long before she appeared as an action figure. It was a really cool mission called Lady Doomsday, and in the back, not many reprints have it. There's a second story called Hot Potato that's really cool too. So it's definitely well worth checking out. If you do not have G.I. Joe number 1, you should get G.I. Joe number 1. Greetings, GM Cody. This is G.I. Joe issue number 2. I really love this issue. Has Snake Eyes, Breaker, Stalker, and Scarlet headed to the north, where they have to deal with some Russians, actually. It's kind of neat. And I don't believe Cobra even appears in this issue. But the first appearance of Quid is in this issue. And he's a mercenary, big old Eskimo guy. That was really cool. Okay, Inuit, however you want to say it nowadays. But I will pull these out and set them down here, then put them back later. But we got issue number 3. Definitely a strange one where the Joes took a robot from Cobra and then brought it back to the pit, and then Cobra had a means of reassembling it and tried to reveal the location of the pit. It was a real fun issue of them trying to keep Cobra from finding out where the pit was. Let me see. Issue number 2 is one of my favorites as well. That's what I was saying there, Spine Ticks. Really cool Arctic mission for being the second one. That's great. And good evening to GM Cody. And yes, I agree. All the men love the Baroness. Okay. Now, issue 4 was a little different. They went up against a right-wing kind of military survival group, and not Cobra. But later on in some of the other comics, they brought back that group and had them affiliated with Cobra in some manner. That was neat. It was kind of an undercover mission. Joe's went undercover. Snake Eyes actually was it involved from a distance until later on in the issue, but Hawk actually had a prominent role in this with I'm pretty sure it was Breaker. They went undercover. Could have been Grunt. Maybe it was Grunt. It's been a long time since I read that one. It was a lot of fun. Now we got G.I. Joe issue number 5, and the pop heard around the world. It's where Breaker used his chewing gum to fool Cobra into thinking they had ammo and fired the camera over the the cannon over the microphone. It's a lot of fun. One of those just simple issues where the Joes were actually part of a parade and Cobra raided the parade, and it was cool. Now, number 6 is actually part 1 of a 2-part storyline involving the first appearance of the October Guard. Really cool. Cobra Commander has this really good appearance at the end, so definitely worth it. Number 7 is the second part, and it had the Joes and the October Guard teaming up against Cobra. It's kind of cool. Let me see. I just posted that Instagram, that on Instagram yesterday. Well, cool. Like I commented on your Stalker video today, I'm doing a Stalker video on Saturday. It should be pretty cool. It must be the week for Stalker and good Stalker covers. Now, I'm going to select one of these covers that we're looking at tonight to feature in that episode on Saturday. So, could it be this one? Probably not. I've got another one in mind that will work a little better. And forgive me as I have a asthma day. It's really cold today. We've actually got some rain and some thunderstorms where I'm at, so it's kind of cool. It has been rather warm, but for some reason, winter started early this year. I got a series of mini comics too. I also have some choose your own adventure G.I. Joe stories that I might be looking at here in the future. Now, this was the first issue of the series that wasn't written by Larry Hama. Most of the entire series is written by Larry Hama, but this one was written by the artist Herb Tripp, or Herb Trippy, however you want to say it. And it was basically G.I. Joe went into space, Breaker and Flash. It was pretty cool. Cobra had all these weird devices that tried to take the space shuttle before it went into space, but it was a really interesting issue. Definitely a different take on the whole genre because it was Breaker and not it was Herb Tripp, not Breaker, Herb Trippy instead of Larry Hama, but still a cool, fun issue. I've got of the mini comics, I have like the first 6 of the mini comics, but they're like several issues in one. So in that I have like the first 30 issues of G.I. Joe, something like that. And that's how I actually complete my series. Sorry if I went off camera there a bit. Okay, so now we're looking at issue 9, kind of a little 2-parter with Scarlet and Snake Eyes and Zap, and they actually went to Springfield for the first time in this issue, number 10. Now, this is actually the last of the original run of the original 13 Joes. In issue 11, they added some new guys. We got Doc and Snowjob right there on the cover, and the Viper glider right in the background. I thought that was a really dynamic cover. I really enjoyed this issue too. Doc actually is really cool in this issue, and then he's really sporadic throughout the series after that. But Snowjob gets some love throughout the series. Well, any Arctic mission, you really kind of have to have a snow trooper, an Arctic trooper. Now, this started a storyline with Gung Ho, Stalker, Snake Eyes, and Breaker again. That was pretty cool. Quinn was actually in this series too, in that storyline. So, Larry Hama I think Larry Hama found his niche. After the new Joe showed up. I mean, the first 10 issues are really cool too, but it got really cool in here with some of these issues. This one at the end, I'm pretty sure cameoed Destro, because in the very next issue, he showed up leading Cobra. He got a really nice shot of the APC, which is my first ground vehicle for G.I. Joe that I ever got. So coincidentally, it has become my favorite over the years. And I might do some videos later on where I feature to give my take on vehicles. But I really need to have better access to my stuff at the moment. Most of it's in storage. Now, this is a really good one. It continues that storyline where Snake Eyes, they thought he was dead for a while there, and him and Quinn were trying to get back to the States from South America. Yes, the Lord himself, Destro, he showed up in issue 14 in full regalia. And they revealed that him and the Baroness knew each other too, I think a little later than that. Issue 16, this is the Night Attack, very famous storyline involving where Cobra Commander has Major Blood trying to kill Destro, and the Baroness actually almost sacrifices herself to save him, and she ends up having to get plastic surgery, and that's when she gets her regular look after that. But very, very cool issue, Night Attack. There's a really cool scene in here where Hawk actually got shot, but he had a bulletproof vest. And I think that actually it happens in issue 17, where he's in the hospital. And this is one of the only Grand Slam features. But Hawk is in the hospital in this, and Major Blood gets captured. And there's a scene where Major Blood's thinking that he's the reason they're cracking down on weapons and stuff. And Hawk says, that dangerous individual with a pistol would be me. And he wouldn't give up his pistol. It was pretty cool. And he managed to keep Major Blood in custody. It was pretty cool. Let's see. The Night Raven was your first G.I. Joe vehicle and still your favorite. I get it, man. My favorite, one of my favorite vehicles ever is the Dragonfly. And that was my first one. Now, that doesn't hold true for my Cobras. My first vehicle was the Chameleon, which I featured on my Zartan video. So, yeah, if I have the vehicle and the figure and I am doing a review on it, I will have it in the video too. Now, here's another good shot at Destro, and it just takes me back to all those commercials about the comics when they was featuring the comics. And find out in Marvel Comics. It was pretty cool. And, yes, Wild Bill, sir. Wild Bill's in my top 10 favorite Joes, and I was just disappointed that I couldn't get the new classified one. And why does that surprise me? And I know you had mentioned that before, Cody, that Wild Bill is your favorite. He is definitely one of my favorites, too. All right, so that takes us to the big one here. This was kind of the end of an era of the out with the old, in with the new type deal. A major battle where Cobra actually attacked the pit, and the Joes used the toy version of the G.I. Joe headquarters as a prefab fortress and put it on top of the pit and let Cobra destroy that and made them think that was their base. It was kind of cool. Actually, had a couple of deaths in this issue as well. Very cool issue. And the cover, it definitely projects that it's going to be something special. And it's one of the rare ones that doesn't have Grunt in the corner like this. It actually had Scarlet with a helmet, which was really kind of interesting. Hey, greetings, Retro Buddy. Welcome to the show. We're just looking at G.I. Joe comics today, and then afterwards, I might not get to all what I have, but if I get to a point that's about an hour and a half in, I'll probably stop, and I got my final bit that I wanted to do. So, but right now we're just looking at really cool G.I. Joe covers, and if you guys see one that you want me to open up and look at a little bit more, let me know, because we're just hanging out and chilling and looking at really cool G.I. Joe comics. This was the second one that in the series that wasn't written by Larry Hama. It was a solo Clutch adventure, and he's in my top 10 Joes as well. It was kind of cool. He went home and found out that Cobra had pretty much taken over a manufacturing plant in his hometown and a bunch of the town too. So it was a lot of fun. It was all the Clutch there in this full issue until the very end. It was really cool. You're a Joe guy also. Well, that's what I do on my channel. I do G.I. Joe and RPG gaming, tabletop gaming. Now there's my son also does. He's supposed to start some video game stuff. He's done a bunch of filming, but we haven't edited yet, put it on the channel yet, but we were going to be working on that soon. So I hope anyway. He hasn't sent me the videos yet, but he did film them. So we'll see if you're into video games. Now, this I got in a comic pack. I did have the full series at one point, but when I had my comic store, I actually was too good of a salesman and actually sold some of my really good comics. This happened to be one of them, so I was happy when I reacquired it as in a comic pack, because this is the first silent comic ever made where it was just sound effects and no dialogue. I had narration boxes too a little bit. Yes, it is a great book. Let's see. Video game pack ripping will blow up a channel. It might. I don't know. I'm hoping it'll get to the videos. I'm not much. I do some video games. I played The Witcher 3. I've played a lot of the older games. I have Baldur's Gate 1 and 2 that I had on PlayStation 4 that I played, but not live. I haven't ever done that. So Days Gone is the game I played most recently. That's a really good post-apocalyptic type game. If you're into zombies, it's not really zombies. They call them freakers and that, but it's still the same thing. I will, Spinetix. Super Mario, Minecraft, Pokemon, Fortnite. My son's into most of that. Fortnite's not one I've done before, and no one in my household does. So if I ever get into that, it'll be down the line when I have the means to do so. But this is a good issue. It's the first appearance of Duke in Roadblock. Yeah, I still am trying to figure his shorts out. Oh, let's see. And hashtag facts. Yes, sir. Now, if retro money. Okay. Like I said, this is when Duke and Roadblock show up. They're at a funeral. And if you haven't read the series, I don't want to spoil it for you, whose funeral. But they show up at the end and stop a Rattler attack. So it was pretty cool. So there you go, Cody. First appearance of the Rattler was in this one. Nice. It looked like Destro's playing with a Rattler too on the cover. It was pretty cool. So there we go. Oh, one of my favorite covers, where they actually capture Cobra Commander at the end of this issue. Roadblock, Clutch, Snow Job, Cover Girl, and Duke on his first mission, his first field mission. It was really cool. And, of course, the very next issue, you have to have where Storm Shadow goes and rescues Cobra Commander. Really great comic. Really great storyline. I talked about that in my Duke video. And Joe Takes 20. Okay. There you go. Wow, Bill. Now, I'm getting to the point where I actually am missing a few because I actually sold the Snake Eyes Origin out of my shop. And so when it came to issue 26, I did manage to pick one up in a comic pack. They never had 27 come back out, and I haven't had a chance to reacquire it, so that is blank. But I do have 28, and like Spinetix pointed out, I have those little collected books that have multiple comics in one book, and so I have the storyline. I can read it, but I actually don't have issue 27. But 28 is a pretty good one. I don't really remember a lot about it, but I do like that cover. There's so many issues, it's hard to remember what happened in all the issues. This is when the whale showed up. I do remember that. In fact, I read this not too long ago, so because I wanted to gear up for issue 31 because that was the first comic I ever got for G.I. Joe. Now, again, I have sold issue 30, but I acquired one in a comic pack. So it had an updated cover. So it's not the same cover, but it's still the same issue. Yep, that's what I've actually kind of been realizing I need to do too. I've been watching some of the Sunbow cartoons, and I'll be reading the issue that I am going to feature in the video. Generally, I can remember, but not always. So That's where I'm at with that. Now, this is one of the coolest G.I. Joe comics ever made. And, well, I might just be biased because it was the first one I got. But Snake Eyes was hanging out in his cabin in the High Sierras. Destro, Firefly, and a Crimson Guardsman showed up and tried to kill him. And then Airborne and Spirit were miles away because they didn't want Snake Eyes to know they were there, but he knew they were there. And so they ended up showing up to save him. And there was a real funny line, "Timber for life, yes, sir." I totally agree. This was Timber's first appearance, too. If I remember correctly in the comics, I'm pretty sure this was his first appearance. And yes, it is a great Destro cover. Now, in this issue, there is this hilarious line, an exchange between Spirit and Airborne. Airborne says, "Here comes the cavalry," and Spirit was like, "What, dude?" They're both Native Americans. It was kind of funny. I don't remember exactly. I can look at it if you guys want, but yeah. Dreadnoks. I know a lot of people love the Dreadnoks. I do too. Zartan is definitely one of my favorite Cobras. I do like the Dreadnoks too, but my favorite Dreadnok isn't on this cover. No Torch, but that's okay. This is a neat cover. This is where Major Blood, the Baroness, conspired to have Cobra Commander killed by a youth from the Cobra Youth group, and it turned out to be Cobra Commander's son. It was a neat, very neat issue. And that's would be the second appearance of Billy, if I remember right, or just before that when they were trying to get him to go after Cobra Commander. Because Billy was way back in issue 9 and 10 with that one bit where they first came to Springfield. Yes, a Custer reference. Yes, it was. Yeah. This issue is awesome. This is a really good duel between Ace and Wild Weasel. Now, they were, looks like I might have a little spider. Oh, well. I had a hatchet here in my basement. It's been really fun. Anyway, yeah, they had Lady J being checked out as a rear in a jet. Or a reel. I can't remember exactly what you call that. I have to look it up again. And Wild Weasel had the Baroness as his gunner. So it was a really nice exchange. And you got the perspective of both male and female Joes and Cobras in this, plus a really good aerial duel. So if you don't have issue 34 and you're collecting, this is one to get. Ace, that's one of Ace's best appearances. There's Torch with the other two Dreadnoks this time. Fronting off to the left there, but another Dreadnok issue. Lots of fun. This one had Rock and Roll Breaker and Clutch driving from the pit in New Jersey all the way to California, and they never made it. They ran into the Dreadnoks, and naturally chaos ensued. And we finally go back to the Whale, and that's just some neat storytelling in a lot of these. Uncanny Swag, welcome. Yes, I agree. That's why I'm wanting to share them. And everybody saying hi to Swag. Anyway, this was a really good issue with the Whale. Destro was featured probably in that too. Now, this was Tomax and Zamon's first appearance, and I featured that in my last issue of Joe Takes, Joe Takes 21. So, Tomax and Zamont from the Hilt. So, I talked a lot about this issue there, but it's also first appearance of Footloose. Flynn had appeared a few issues earlier, I think. Now, the next one I've also featured on some of my Joe Takes. I think I featured it on my Storm Shadow episode. So this was a really good storyline between Cobra Commander, Destro, Billy, and Storm Shadow. And I'm pretty sure by the end of this, Storm Shadow decided to take on Billy as his apprentice, Cobra Commander's son. So this was a really good one. Awesome cover. I love that whole thing. I actually have acquired it twice. My original is in here, and it's thank you. Thank you to my new subscriber if you're watching today. So my original copy was off the newsstand, and it's in really bad shape. I think the cover even comes off. But this is one of those where I managed to acquire a newer version, a nicer version. I say not newer, but in better shape. I don't know what we're talking about here. Purdy dissecting Giants, but yeah, he's playing pretty well. And then we got Cody saying, I need to pick up some more G.I. Joe comics, have most in trade form, but I pick up random issues when I see them for a decent price when I'm out comic hunting. You know, that's kind of true for me in the IDW series. I've got a lot of those in trade paperback. And I'm missing a ton of those. I wasn't able to really get those because for a while there, I didn't even know Larry Hama was back making comics. I felt kind of sad because I'm like, whoa, Larry Hama's writing comics again. I missed up. Now, this is one of my favorite Stalker covers, so this might be the one for Saturday. And there's Gung Ho there. I know it doesn't look like it, but that's Gung Ho. Stalker and Gung Ho like to hang out a lot in the comics. Then we got a good Roadblock cover. Issue 40. Like I said, if you guys want me to stop and take a good look at the inside of one of these, let me know. Oh, man. Some of these, yeah, I like bought, read once, and then I was so far ahead in the series already that I've only read this maybe 2 or 3 times over the years. But it's really, it started the Cobra Island storyline is what started here. Then I do need to reacquire this one. This was one of the original comics I had before I started getting a subscription, and it's in really bad shape, but I do love this cover too. Can you guess who's that? Whose head that is there? Here we go. This is the first in the series of when characters died. Larry Hama or the artist would feature the Grim Reaper on the cover. And I just love this with him with the M60 just popping some caps and dealing death. And I will probably feature this one on my channel several times. There's a lot of first appearances in here. Lady J is probably featured as the leader of a team of Joes. My favorite character for Airtight first appears in here. Bazooka, Crankcase, Heavy Metal, Bats, and Dr. Mindbender all first appear in this issue. It's a really big one. It's a really good one. And I managed to get this one as a comic 3-pack at a KB stores. So I got that one for really, really inexpensive. And I didn't even know much about the Joes back then. I just saw that and went, hey, a G.I. Joe comic I had just started collecting. A really good one with Zartan and Ripcord on the cover, number 45. Started Ripcord's search for his girlfriend, Candy. And then an awesome Snake Eyes and Storm Shadow cover. Really, really love the dynamic relationship between Snake Eyes and Storm Shadow throughout the entire series of this, where they would flip back and forth. Is Storm Shadow a Cobra? Is he a Joe? Sometimes it was interesting. Sometimes it was like, oh, again, come on, guys. But definitely love this cover with the two of them together. Really sweet. Yeah, we got Beachhead, who's one of my really, really top favorite Joes with the Hawk and his new general outfit and wetsuit on it, Devilfish. This is when they had finally got Cobra Island raised from under the water, and they got the Joes to do it for them. It was kind of cool. And then Cobra claimed the land and set up an embassy, got diplomatic immunity and country status, or at least temporary provisional status. Zartan had been captured. Actually, Ripcord sent him back to the Joes took him prisoner as they thought he was Ripcord. They had switched places. It was kind of cool. And Zartan attempted to sneak into the pit and got caught. It was kind of cool. Let me see. Cody says, first graphic tee he ever bought was a Storm Shadow t-shirt. You think? I believe it. Yes. Yes, sir, Uncanny Swag. This is Sergeant Slaughter's big first appearance and one of his only really major appearances in the comics. And it's a really cool one in this. He shows up at the end and beats up a bunch of Joes who thought he was trying to infiltrate the pit. And I agree, it is a nice cover. And then we start into the comics and the better version of Arise, Serpentor Arise. I mean, I know that's what the cartoon called it, the Sunbow cartoon, but not the comic. Let's see. Swag wants to get the Storm Shadow Arashikage tattoo as a tramp stamp. That's funny. But cool. Could be cool. Grew up in the 80s, have many amazing Christmas memories getting Joe stuff. Me too, sir. Me too. Now, this is the one where Destro and Dr. Mindbender go around and collect DNA so that Dr. Mindbender can create Serpentor. Now, this was actually a project that Cobra Commander approved in the comics. And he thought he was making a general to lead his troops, so it was really cool. And then we have the big Invasion of Springfield storyline, and the first G.I. Joe Special Mission story was in the back of this giant-sized issue 50. Really great comic book. Introduced the special missions in a really good way, and we also had a big sort of finale in the storyline where they drove Cobra out of Springfield. Really great issue. This one here is another Sergeant Slaughter. This is probably the only other one that he has featured really well in. Him and Flint lead a team of Joes after Zartan is rescued from the pit by Zarana and Xandar and some of the Dreadnoks. And then they chase him down in the swamp. It's pretty cool. Larry Hallman brought back Serpentor's Genghis Khan at the end of the IDW run. I haven't read that yet, Spine 6. I've been wanting to pick up that issue, but I haven't had a chance. I do have like all the major ones like that. I am missing 100, but I did manage to pick up 200, and now I'm missing 300. So it's something about the odd numbers. I don't have them. I'll bet it was nuts. And that would be the third time that second time he brought back Serpentor, but the third Serpentor storyline with by Larry Hama, at least, that I'm aware of. And then this is the last one I picked up on the newsstand before I got my subscription. And my first subscription comic came in, and it happened to be this really awesome one with Quick Kick and Storm Shadow on the cover. Now, they don't really have a major fight in this comic book, but it's still a really awesome cover. You covered it each issue on your live stream. Well, that's cool. I'm going to have to check some of those out, sir. Making videos myself, I find I don't have as much time as I used to have. Now, this... although it's a good issue, what makes this a popular one is the fact that it has all the Marvel characters around the outside, all the way around. This was their, I'm pretty sure this was their 30th anniversary, or 25th, I'm sorry, it's right there. What am I thinking? Anyway, they did a lot of these comics, and I have quite a collection of these. I tried to keep all these that I could. So I do have a bunch with this border on that month's issue of comics, and the really cool Snake Eyes cover was really neat to have. And of course, then you had a nice cover with Flint on the next one, with the fire bat in the background. What do we got here? G.I. Joe was the only ongoing comic I was covering by that time. The others detached from nostalgia and had a bunch of other stuff. Not worth my money in the story. Yeah, I started trying to collect. I was collecting the GI Joe IDW run there for a bit, Spine Ticks, um, and I was trying to get Doctor Strange because I was a big Doctor Strange. Couldn't get into the Thor comics they had going on at the time, and I was picking up a few Avengers here and there. But the only two books I had a subscription of at the time were Doctor Strange and GI Joe. Those were my original two favorite comics. The storyline of Doctor Strange though was getting so weird. I just quit on it, and then I ended up having to stop collecting comics altogether. So it was probably a good thing. But hopefully someday I can get back into picking up the ones I missed. Then we have the famous Unmaskings cover, which they don't unmask any of them in it, but it's kind of funny. They do unmask, but they actually don't really show them. Cobra Commander Destro ended up having disguises in this one, and Snake Eyes a little bit, but it is worthy of nostalgia. Let's see, just a lot of politics and lectures in the books now. I feel like I'm reading Twitter. Yeah, that's kind of how I felt, and they don't have the content they used to. I could sit and read even one of these today. It could take me 10, 15 minutes to get through the whole comic book. Not always, but a lot of times. But now these newer books, I get through them in 5 minutes and go, well, it was pretty. I mean, it had decent artwork, and the printing is definitely of higher quality. But to be honest, I'd rather have the content, I'd rather have the quality of the content and not the art. I mean, I like the art too, but can't we have both with comics? I think we had it back in the day. This cover is awesome. They were actually raiding trying to get into a Terradrome in the jungle. This is a cool issue. Let's see. Yep, new books have great art, but not many word bubbles. I lost interest in collecting, and it's really sad because I still love all my older comics, and I'm waiting for the day they start making comics good again. I mean, I'm sure there are some comics out there that are good, but it doesn't seem worth it to me to start collecting again, especially on my budget. The only thing I collect right now really is my own books that I have to probably spend the print cost on for my games and my novels and for my classified series, and I really am not able to afford much of that most of the time. Been working on your Joe Comics Run 2 swag. Been finding a bunch recently. That's cool. Yep. So far, I've only missing two. The Snake Eyes Origins, 26, 27. Oh, and 21. 21. So three. Let's see. Spine Tick says, I have tons of older comics I still need to get, so you can throw my money on that. I get you, man. I really get you. When I haven't, I do. I feel like I'm throwing my money at it sometimes. This is one of my favorite issues. Side by side with Destro. It really is. Flint and Lady J actually go and help Destro take his castle back from an imposter who turns out to be Major Blood in disguise, ruling his castle. First appearance of his castle, too. Really good. Really cool issue. And then Cobra Commander actually got to wear the armor for a little bit. He was trying to save his son's life, who he found was in a coma. So he went and found a Crimson Guardsman that knew how to make prosthetic legs and stuff, because Billy was missing an arm and a leg. Very interesting comic right here. Definitely love the cover. First appearance of Tunnel Rat and Outback. And Raptor, of course, over here. And the famous, or should we say infamous, Cobra Pogo. Cody says, I tried to get back into new comics, but it's just horrible now. I will just stick to the old stuff I love. Yeah, I'm right there with you, Cody. And Spine Ticks gives you 100. I actually love the chat. I'm glad I'm able to put you guys what you say up on the screen. It's a lot of fun. Issue 60. Oh my goodness, this issue right here. Lots of fun, lots of first appearances. You had Falcon, Fastra, who is so underrated as a Joe, Chuckles, Law and Order, and they end up. I'm probably missing somebody in that mix, but they end up kidnapping Hawk, because they believed they were G.I. Joes, and it turns out that they weren't. They were being manipulated by a government agency, and they were protecting a missile that was going to be fired at Cobra Island. So it's a very cool issue. First appearance of Zanzibar and Monkey Wrench, too, for the Dreadnought fans out there. Issue 60. It's a good one. And I was still getting a subscription at that point. Now, what had happened here is I think I sold this one out of my shop, and I ended up getting one later on, and I wasn't able to get it with the Spider-Man down to the cover. So some of them are still from my collection, original collection. So definitely if it has a Spider-Man in it, most likely is from my original collection. And then this is the famous Barovia one where these 3 Joes end up getting captured after a mission and thrown in prison. Outback was with him on this too, but Stalker ordered him to escape, and he did. Quick Kick and Snow Job were wounded, so Stalker stayed behind to take care of him. Just like the man. So here we go, another Stalker cover. So it might be this one. I don't know which one I like better, to be honest with you. This is a really good Stalker cover. And the very next issue, we get another one. It's all good, Spine Ticks. Do what you got to do, man. He says he's feeding the dogs, but listening. And Cody says, gotten heavy back into comic collecting the past 6 months or so. Said I was only going to collect and finish certain runs, but it's gotten out of control now. I've been there, man. I've been there. When I've had the extra money and you go to a comic store and you go, I need this one and I need this one. I've actually got quite a run on the X-Men series known as Excalibur, the first one. I love that one. That's about the only X-Men stuff I still have because I had to get rid of a lot of my books within the last decade or so. I just don't have the room, unfortunately. Very cool cover with Snake Eyes and Scarlet when they go undercover and go to rescue Stalker and Quick Kick and Snow Job from the Gulag. So this starts that. Now, this is after Cobra Commander had been shot by Fred the Seventh, and he decided he was going to take over Cobra. And this is where he showed up to do that. I can't remember which one of these in the 60s that he actually shot Cobra Commander and decided he was going to do that. But this is the one where he actually went to Cobra Island, and Baroness showed up. And she was just fed up with Serpentor by that point. And I totally agree, Cody. Excalibur rules. That is one of my favorite comics of all time. Have about 3/4 of the run. I think I'm closer to completed than that, to be honest with you. I might do a video on Excalibur. That would be fun. I'd show my Excalibur shirt next time we were on the stream together. That would be awesome, sir. I'll see if I noticed. I have a tendency not to notice details like that all the time. Sometimes I do. This is the first appearance of the Defiant in the comics. They actually hinted at it several issues before. So it was nice to finally see it in action. And this is the one where Fred the Seventh showed his chops and became Cobra Commander. He actually did a really good job by the end of it, which, was kind of cool because he is a fully trained Crimson Guardsman, and they're supposed to be the elite, right? Great cover. Another Stalker cover. I won't spoil the surprise here. I don't think I'm going to use this one. It's a good one, but I do like the fact that it's also got Snake Eyes and Storm Shadow. He managed to get Snow Job, Quick Kick, Stalker, Snake Eyes, and Storm Shadow on. And well, I don't know if she is a bad guy, but she was actually just doing her job, and she just enjoyed it a little too much. I think her name was Helga or something like that. She was the one of the guards at the Gulag. The famous Thwack issue where Lady J decks Flint and then admits that she's in love with him. So it was really kind of a double whammy. Good issue, though. Well worth checking out. And I have a really good run on the Joes. For the most part, I've got most of them. Like I said, so far I'm only missing 3. Now, I do have a really good run on Avengers, and I might do a video about those. Yeah, he did deserve it, but I think in the end, he got the better end of the deal, even getting hit. I agree, Swag. I do agree that he deserved it. Now, this is the first appearance of Battle Force 2000. Good one. Also, Frostbite and Iceberg both first appeared in here in the Snowcat, even though I think the Snowcat was in issues before. Because I had been looking for Frostbite's first appearance because I really like that character. Okay. Takes us to first appearance of the Iron Grenadiers, at least in full regalia. I love that cover. I thought the Iron Grenadiers looked really cool. And Destro, like I had said in the Destro video I made on Joe Takes 19, I'm sorry, Joe Takes 19. I never really liked the gold head back in the day, but it has grown on me. And then the next one, issue 70, we got one for you, Cody. It's a Wild Bill cover. This is actually one of my favorite storylines in G.I. Joe. Wild Bill, Maverick, and Crazy Legs basically get stuck in a country and are trying to get out of it. And Zarana and Thrasher, and I think of one of the other Dreadnoks as well. Thrasher was the most memorable of the three, to be honest, and Zarana was pretty cool in here too. But this was a good Wild Bill storyline. Maverick got to show his chops too, but Wild Bill was in charge. And yes, yeehaw, sir. I totally agree. Great Wild Bill storyline. Now, my favorite Wild Bill story is actually in the Special Missions, but I'll get into that one if I can get to the Special Missions. But we're moving along pretty good, so I think we will. Hey, Victor, welcome to the stream, sir. We're just chilling and looking at G.I. Joe comic covers at the moment. If you want me to slow down and I'll pull one out and actually look at it, just let me know. Continues that storyline with Wild Bill. Fun storyline. Then you can start the Cobra Island debacle in this. This is where where the Star Viper infiltrates the pit and makes off with the black box from the pit. And they send a recon team to Cobra Island to see what's going on. And then it turned out that the U.S. decided they wanted that black box back really bad. And Victor saying hi to Cody. We all like to say hi when we jump on all the streams. Welcome, everyone. Cody says, "Hey, Victor, always good to see you." Sometimes I don't throw them up on the screen, but I like to read them anyway because if I actually watch this on an app on my TV, and you don't ever get to see the chat, so it kind of sucks sometimes. The Spine Tick says hello too. Okay, neat cover. Really didn't have much to do with the issue, but it was still a neat cover. Started the whole Cobra Civil War. It actually captures everything that's going on succinctly. But the Cobra Civil War actually heated up in this issue right here. And you just got to love the whole Baroness strapped to the front of the His Tank cover. A lot of people complained about this. There was actually an activist group that tried to get this cover banned, if I remember correctly. So we got Victor saying hi to Spine Ticks and Swag saying hi to. And that's a cool one. We'll Baroness for Life. That's not the one I wanted to pick, but that'll work too. Spine Tick says, "Thanks for stopping by last Saturday, Victor Gibson." Yeah, he's got a fun show on Saturday nights. I'm glad you showed up. It was nice to see one of my buds on that show too. But yes, Baroness for Life, sir. I'm going to put that back up there. Oh, she was just not having it this issue. And Serpentor was just so done with her. And yes, Victor, Baroness is the bomb. She's a bombshell. Great cover. I think they were just posing because the war was over. For the most part, this was the last part of it. Then there was the cleanup, of course. And you had to have the Zarana Lady J cat fight issue. And it was pretty cool with all the Joes and Cobras just standing around watching them fight. Definitely a fun issue. And this is where they started. Now, I had mentioned before on my channel that Marvel Comics originally put comics out 4 months earlier than what the month said. So if it was April, you would be actually reading a January issue or a December issue. That's when it came out. It's kind of weird, but they did that. And then in the late 80s, they counted up, and by doing these early October, late October issues, it's kind of weird. First appearance of Grunt's wife, soon-to-be wife, Lola. Kind of cool. Grunt actually retired from the Joes and went to college. It was really cool. They show that his life went on. Let's see. We got Baroness, Scarlet, CoverGirl. Let's go. Princess J, Princess Scarlet, and Princess CoverGirl. And then, of course, we have to have Princess Baroness. CoverGirl, yeah, like CoverGirl. I've got actually in a couple of weeks, I'm going to be doing on Joe Takes. I'm going to be taking a look at my CoverGirl figure. I don't have the vintage of her, though, but I do have one that I will stand in pretty good. Bridge Layer. I do have the Bridge Layer. She actually came with the Wolverine, and Tollbooth came with the Bridge Layer, but I never had the Wolverine. Great vehicle with the missiles on the back. I always wanted that one. I never was able to pick that one up. That's one of the few from 83 that I don't have. And that vehicle was sweet. The Bridge Layer was, yes, I totally agree. I actually only acquired the Bridge Layer about 2 years ago. And mine I got actually as a Canadian version. It's kind of neat. But great cover with Roadblock and Grunt and Lola. And we got another Dreadnoks. This is the one where the Dreadnoks, Buzzer took his chainsaw to poor Mutt. I mean, I'm sorry, took it to junkyard. Mutt wanted to take the chainsaw to Buzzer afterwards. I don't know what I was thinking when I said that. Another issue where Cobra tried to make another island. Well, it was aftershocks from the first time, and they sent a team to lay claim to another island, and the Joes sent a team, and it was a big free-for-all. They had the big Rolling Thunder issue where they called Rumbler. They had called Armadillo Rumbler. They got those two figures mixed up. Rumbler came with the Crossfire, and Armadillo came with the Rolling Thunder. But in the comics, there was only Rumbler, and he was the Rolling Thunder driver. Definitely the Rolling Thunder figure too. Cool issue. I think a lot of those, even Zero issues, 80, 70, and all that, they were really good issues. For whatever reason, they like to make those good ones. And they kind of continue that storyline with the Dreadnoks, but they threw Battle Force 2000 in the mix, and Mutt joined them because he wanted some payback for Junkyard. But probably one of the coolest G.I. Joe stories ever written was Weeding Out. It's the name of this issue. It shows the training of Repeater, Budo, and Lightfoot. And Lightfoot, it was his second time around because he actually went on his final training mission and got hurt and had to take the training all over again. And that was actually in Special Missions number 12. We'll be taking a look at that. Just a neat cover with the Viper behind him. Good issue all around. Shows how the Joes get trained. And they had like a ton of Joes at the beginning, and only 3 of them made it through the training. I mentioned that it was a higher attrition rate than Ranger School. Lots of fun, G.I. Joe comics. And Larry Hama, he was really the man. And you got your Road Pig. I really like Road Pig as a Dreadnought. Larry Hama's take on him in the comics, where he had multiple personalities, associative personality disorder, or whatever you're going to call it. Let's see. The number 80? Yeah, Firefly was in number 80. That was pretty cool. He was kind of the leader of that mission, too. It was kind of weird. But it was cool. Road Pig finds out Zarata's in jail, and he goes and rescues her because apparently he has a big thing for Zarata. And this is when Zartan lays down the law with Fred the Seventh, who's pretending to be Cobra Commander at the time. Big Zartan origin storyline. Really good comic. Shows the Red Ninjas, Kogan Ninjas, who supposedly in Cobra were trained by Storm Shadow. It's kind of weird, but cool at the same time. And let me get something to drink here, guys. All right. Hey, we got the second silent comic G.I. Joe series. Love this one. I'm pretty sure this was called FX or Special Effects. Mostly a Jinx story, although they got Storm Shadow on the cover. It was Jinx and Storm Shadow, but really good. I think that's probably true of most people in the chat there, Spine Six. But yes, love comics, love RPGs, love action figures. I have to make a choice, though, of what I collect. And so G.I. Joe's on the top of that list. Oh, Victor says he's sorry he missed you, Uncanny Swag. Great issue, though. Pretty sure this was a big deal between Storm Shadow and Zartan, where Zartan realized Storm Shadow had figured out he had killed his uncle, and he figured that Storm Shadow was going to come get him. So Uncanny Swag says, hi, Victor. And then we got, guess that was good. I found you via Yale Geek. You know what? That's how I met most of my buds. Between him and Bear the Gen X GM, and you now. I met a lot of new friends from your channel too. That's the way it should work, man. We all should make friends. And then this is the next one I'm missing. So actually there was another one. So that's 4. This will be number 5 in the series that I'm missing. And it was number 86. Oddly enough, 86 is one of the ones I'm missing, so it's out of there. But I managed to re-pick it up in comic book form, and it's when Joe Colton first appeared in the Real American Hero storyline as the original Joe. You don't recognize me. I'm just another guy named Joe. Really good issue. It really is. There's a joke in here at the end where Muskrat said, gosh, I thought he'd be bigger. It was pretty funny. So if you get the joke, then you'll know what I'm talking about. Yes, Larry Hama had some great stories. He really did. He's one, as far as I'm concerned, he's one of the best storytellers in comics ever. I loved his run on Wolverine, and I wish I still had it, but I ended up having to get rid of my Wolverines too. Hello, Mechhead Studios. Welcome to the show, sir. We're looking at G.I. Joe comics, and like I said, everybody who shows up, at least I've tried to. If you want me to look at one, let me know, and I'll stop and slow down and open one up. Your all-time favorite Marvel Joe comic is Special Missions issue 5. Just shows how different each side treated each other. Hopefully, we'll get to my Special Missions, sir. Those are right here, so I've got them next up on the list. Love Special Missions. Let's see. Hello, the Comics Forge. Hashtag Pressable Defects. You're so excited this popped up in your feed. I'm happy to see a new face. Welcome to the show. Again, we're looking at tonight. We're looking at G.I. Joe comics. This isn't something I normally do. Right now, my normal live stream on Friday nights is on hiatus, but we'll be back in October. But this month, I've been just kind of taking it easy and looking at my D&D collection, and now I'm looking at my G.I. Joe collection. Last week, I looked at my Endless Quest books. It was kind of fun. His Wolverine stories were awesome. One of my favorites is when he was trying to go through the metal detector, and they had him completely stripped down, and finally he just popped his claws and said, here's the metal. It was pretty fun. I love the way Larry Hama told Wolverine stories. And Victor saying, hey, Mechhead fan and Comic Forge. Yes. Wow, guy in the house. Looking forward to the G.I. Joe RPG gameplay. We are too. We got a session 0.5 where we're going to finish our characters. We're actually still kind of knocking all the bugs out of the game system. It's kind of playable right now, but I want to tweak it just a little more before we start next month on the 9th when we actually do gameplay. But yeah, we're going to go over and finish up characters on Tuesday night. Let me see here. Comic Forge says he met Larry Hama and got him to sign his Cobra Commander helmet. That's very cool. Oh, sorry. Come on, Luna. She's fallen. She decided to join my live stream. Come on, you. I hear Larry Hama is a really great guy, and I would like to meet him someday. That would be cool. I hope I do at some point. And Katsuni says, we are too. Victor Gibbs says, Lowell, man, the Madripoor stories were crazy. Yes, they were. They sure were in the Wolverine series. Mechahead Studios, smile, flying face, and she's so cute. Yes, she's cute, but she can be funny when she's after something. And it could be anything at this point. We've had moss and spiders and all sorts of stuff going on in this basement lately. Lots of smiles going on, so I must be doing something right tonight. Let's keep looking at some Joe comics. And Mechahead Studios says hola to Victor. And 87. This is when Fred the Seventh, posing as Cobra Commander, decided he was going to invade Destro's castle. Didn't turn out so well for him. Then we had, I think this was the first appearance of Wolkukuk Land, or whatever you call it. Wolkuku Land, I think is how it was supposed to be pronounced. And it was right across the border from Darklon's nation of Darklonia. I'm pretty sure that's what it was called. She's after something. Cats can be a lot of fun on a live stream, can't we? I was just putting the comic down. Sorry, I slapped it so hard. Could be her reacting to somebody moving around upstairs too. Cody says, have a good night, gang. Good to see everyone. Off to spend a bit of time with the wife. Always good to do too, sir. You go have a good time with the wife, and hopefully I'll see you tomorrow night on your live stream, sir. And Victor says good night as well. Okay. Mean Dog, and I'm pretty sure that's the name of this one too. First appearance of Wild Card, and I think Hardball. Hardball might have appeared in one of the special missions before this. It was hard to keep track sometimes of when they'd actually first appear, because you get some in the special missions and then some of the regular storyline. Then you got Road Pig pulling rock and roll and clutch around like little rag dolls, man. Road Pig was one of the toughest Dreadnoks. I really liked that about him. He was a big bruiser. And they actually captured Clutch and rock and roll in this one and brainwashed him. Another one of those. It was issue 90. Very pivotal storyline. Well, it must be what's going on upstairs. She's all over the place. Would you stop knocking my stuff down, little girl? No. Okay, here's where I'm missing like 6 in a row here. So this is where my big chunk is, really. I've got number 97, and I missed a bunch of them in between, and I don't have 98. I do have 99. I was managing to pick some of these back up because I sold a big run, but I think I managed to keep this one the whole time. But I did sell issue 100 at some point, so I've got to reacquire that one at some point in time. What are you after? Okay, that's a new one. She climbed into a space I didn't know she could climb into. Cats. Rock and roll was from Malibu, you think? You know, let me find out real quick. Because I can do that. I know that he lived in LA for a time, but whether he was actually from LA or not, or Malibu, which is right near there, I'll look at the file card and we'll take a look. G.I. Joe file cards. Don't have to look far because rock and roll is right in the first year. And there he is. Okay. All right. Yes, he is from Malibu, California. You are absolutely right, sir. Let's see if I can put that up on the screen if I push the right button. But I'm getting a serious distraction from my cat. She is all over the place for whatever reason. All right, let's see. Did that one come up there? Looks like it did. Let me see if I can make it bigger so you can get a better look there. There we go. Gets a little blurry as it gets bigger, but rock and roll, sir. Yes, he was. Malibu. Started out as a sergeant. Ended up being a sergeant major by the end of the action figures. Going on. There we go. So if somebody wanted to read it, I'll leave it on there for a bit. Let me see. We'll catch up in the chat. Sounds right. Yeah, it's exactly right, sir. OG from 82. Yep. Rock and roll just a little bit from where you grew up. I was born here in Utah, but I grew up most of my life in the Inland Empire, right there in California too. Let's see. Used to take the ladies out to fancy beachside dinners in Malibu. Sometimes it worked. Is that how we met? Lady swag there, Spine Dicks. Used to collect cards from the package. Yep, me too. Me too. I still have some of them, but most of mine got destroyed in a garage fire. That's the way it is sometimes. 50 miles from the Inland Empire. Yep, I lived in the Highland Redlands area for the most part. San Bernardino, a lot too. Let's see. Sith went to 90210. All right. Let's get back to if I can remove the right one from the stream. All right. Now I missing 100, but I should have most of the rest of them. I may be missing a few here and there later on, but I should have most of the rest of these. There's issue 101. Another October Guard. Victor says he lived all over LA and South Bay. Didn't spend much time there, Vic, but maybe we'll see it together someday. Got married the first time at Edwards Mansion in Redlands. Yeah, they closed that down before I moved. Did they open that back up? Edwards Mansion was pretty cool. And Spinetick says, nice, Victor. Like I said, the reappearance of the October Guard after the original team pretty much got killed off, all of them except for Dana and Dragunsky, who were the only two original members of the October Guard in this storyline. Really, really cool. Really cool series here with the October Guard. Let's see. Spinetick says, you haven't been back. Second marriage going well. Well, I hope so, sir. I think you got a good one there with Lady Sith Lordly. Your uncle lived in Redlands? My mother-in-law still lives out in Yucaipa, so still love the area, and every once in a while I get back out there, but not often. My wife and son are heading back out there, I think, next month. And so they'll be joining Fridays from the Hilt via my sister-in-law's place. That'll be cool. Here's 103. It looks like I'm missing 104. That's a weird one to miss in the storyline. Oh, I think I know why. I think that's the one where Snake Eyes got sent off on a mission, And Storm Shadow put him in the Arashikage mindset, so he'd just think about the mission. Then it went back to this one with this storyline with the October Guard, Roadblock. Roadblock, I don't know what it was, man. They just seemed to like to temporarily blind Roadblock for whatever reason. They did that in G.I. Joe, the animated movie, and in this storyline here. Then they hired the government, the United States government, hired Major Blood to kill Snake Eyes. It was definitely a weird storyline. Let's see. Well, he actually had a mandate that he was supposed to kill somebody else if he could find them, or stop Snake Eyes from doing it. It was weird. Definitely an interesting storyline. It's some spy stuff. And then Stalker and Storm Shadow teamed up, and they went on the run from the government for a bit there. It was pretty cool. And then Snake Eyes, when he came back, he decided he was going to let Cobra Commander know that Cobra Commander had crossed the line, sir. And that's when they started the G.I. Joe dossiers in the back. It was really cool. You got some file cards inside the comic books. They should have been doing that the whole time, I think. Yeah, Major Blood did have that cyber right arm. Yep. Now, they didn't really talk about it much in the comic or the cartoon, but they definitely, with the classified series, they definitely brought that out and really showed you the arm. And then in G.I. Joe Renegades, he got his arm all messed up. So they were leading up to the fact that he was going to get a cybernetic arm, I think, or he may have had one in his second appearance. This is when the Benzene War happened, and I think I had said Trucial Bismia in another one of my videos about Joes, but I'm pretty sure it was the Benzene War, and a lot of Joes got killed in this issue. Falcon was the team leader, and Duke was his NCO. It was kind of neat. Definitely a different dynamic than what you saw in the cartoon. And then we got the infamous Saw Viper. Killing more Joes. And you got the storyline continues where the ninjas went in and did what they do best, man. Lots of ninja action in this issue. You had a new Joe show up, and his name was Cool Breeze. Never made a figure of him. I wish they would. He was a neat character. Little arrogant, maybe. But by the end of the episode, he realized what it meant to be a Joe, and it was a really good storyline. Larry Hama liked to do that, introduce characters once in a while, and sometimes he ended up killing them all. Well, that was one of his own Joe creations that would never made a figure, and we still got him in a row, so I'm not missing a lot. We got issue 113 here. This is where the Battle Force 2000 met their end. All of them except Dodger. You know, I wonder if anyone made a custom of Cool Breeze. I do. Cool Breeze was a neat character. At least I thought so. Good question, Spine Ticks. Then you had Metalhead, who was more interesting in the comics than he ever was in the cartoon. A lot of people do like Metalhead, though. And in this, he appeared as a Cobra agent, which was kind of weird. But Larry Hama had a reason for that, of course. Or at least he made up a reason. Loved his writing style. Another action in the sky. This time with Ghost Rider, who they never would say his name. They pretended they didn't know, couldn't remember his code name. It was kind of cool. And the stealth bomber, the X-19. Definitely had some Rattler action in this one, too. And then another really cool Destro cover. And the storyline was called Destro, Search and Destroy. Definitely enjoyed this storyline. He ended up teaming up with Zartan, of all people. It was kind of weird. They didn't have the same relationship in the comics that they did in the cartoon. They kind of hated each other in the cartoon. But not so much in the comics. I mean, they weren't buddies or anything, but they didn't hate each other. And you got part 2 of that saga, continuing the storyline with Destro on the run from everybody. Cobra put a hit out on Destro. Cobra Commander did. And then you have the final confrontation, and then they naturally sort of things out by the end of that. And there's another one I'm missing, issue 119, but, well, wow, I'm missing more than I thought, because the next one I have is 124. So I'm missing 120, 121, 122, and 123. Must have got overzealous when I sold some comics in my store. Remember that cover? The one with Cobra Commander and Destro like this? I remember, getting these, and just, every issue of G.I. Joe was just exciting. I never was disappointed by picking up a G.I. Joe comic. I mean, yeah, it's not all of them were as great as some of the other ones, but most of them were great. For some reason, I'm missing 125. Probably had a really cool cover, but this was the important one to me, so I made sure I kept it. Firefly, he knows where the bodies are buried. It was this big comeback. Everybody thought he was dead. That Cobra Commander had killed him, but he managed to escape and make his triumphant return. The wanted cover, right? Yeah. Yep. With the wanted cover with Destro. All right. So the first one in that storyline. That's a really good cover, yes. All of those were pretty interesting. Not necessarily some of the best G.I. Joe covers, but that one with Destro, yes. Great cover, yes. This storyline with Firefly was really cool. They had these like 3 different storylines going on starting in this issue. And so I'm missing like the second part of that, and they continued into that triple threat. And then they limited it down to 2, and then it was just down to the Eco Warriors. Larry Hama he threw his hat into the ring with that saga with Ozone and Clean Sweep, and Flint as the leader. Now, that suit with Flint, I think it would look better in black and gold or black and red. But it wasn't a bad-looking suit. It just, the colors, their neon colors in the 90s were just weird sometimes. But, who knows? Like, here's my 125. So which one am I missing here? I'm missing 123. Okay. So I do have 125. And then this one was 126. I had them backwards in here. Okay. You got issue 127 and the battle copters. They went in, there's a building that the original Joe was in charge of. And God wants to go in there now. There you go. Silly. Cats. Like I said, this had the original Joe, and it was like, I think, the second appearance with the original Joe. And they brought him back into the storyline, and he was featured quite a bit after that, especially when they went back to redoing the Pit 3 in Utah. You kept waiting for them to turn into Captain Planet, Victor. Yeah, me too. Didn't like the Eco Warriors much either. Like I said, I did like that Flint, but I wish he'd have come in different colors. And I think they missed an opportunity. They had all these really cool characters in G.I. Joe, and they made up 2 new hazmat troopers. And it's like, well, what about Airtight, your original hazmat trooper? They didn't bring out a second Airtight in the vintage line. And since he was my favorite, what are you going to do, Hasbro? This was a neat storyline where Hawk got wounded and Lady J, basically, he ordered her to leave and she refused and stayed and defended his life. This is a good one where they were trying to defend it. That might have been the one with the embassy. Some of them run together after a while, but good storytelling. Larry Hama just knew how to spin a yarn, man. You love BR? Okay. I'm not sure what. You mean barbecue? Yes, sir. Barbecue. I like barbecue too. I got a barbecue video I did a while back as part of my Operation Dungeon Siege. He was one of my G.I. Joe Gold Bricks. Has not your bro on airtight? No, not the vintage line. Just the one. I think I've got 3 of them, but I did manage to pick up my original. I've kept that one, and of course that one's in bad shape. And then I got another one, and I ruined that one. And my brother before, from one of my birthdays, he got me a newer one, so it was kind of nice. This was the first battle wagon. I did like that vehicle. I do have one of these, but I'm missing parts of it. Never had a complete one. Some of those 90s vehicles were hard to get a hold of in the 90s. They're not so much anymore, but they were then. Never could find them in the stores or anything. And then we have Cobra invading the pit in Utah, pit 3 again. And this is a really big one with barbecue and airtight. They defend the pit and hold Cobra off. A bunch of bats, man. It was really cool. And definitely a great issue with airtight and barbecue. Okay, that's another one of those 0 issues now, 130. I like a lot of those ones. I don't know why. Looks like a Robotech synchro cannon. Yes, it does. I love Robotech too. Missing parts, yo, they stole your catalytic converter. I actually bought it in a thrift store, so I got what I got. But for a while there, that was the only way I could find 90s vehicles. Yeah, that storyline with the bats continue where they were invading the pit. Really cool cover here with Duke and Roadblock. I thought about using this cover for my Duke video, but went with that other one back in the early 30s when they were on top of that mountain with the where Cobra Commander was escaping their custody. It was really cool. Yeah, print runs were low on those later ones. That's just how it was. Thanks, Uncanny Swag. And as Spinetick says, nice, Victor. My video tomorrow is Robotech. Good call. Yeah, Swag, I'm paying $50 an issue from $145 to $155. Dude, I don't want to give up my G.I. Joes at all. And Victor says, cool spot. I hung out with Masek years ago. Really? That'd be a tale to tell, sir. And then you've got really when they started with the Ninja Force a lot. And at some point, it actually becomes the Snake Eyes comic book for a while there. More Snake Eyes action. That's some really cool covers right near the end. And they made that 91 suit look good in the comics. Spytech says, nice, Victor. I met him once at the Golden Apple in L.A. when Robotech came out. Also, Reba West, who voiced Min-May. Yes, I remember her. My favorite was the Mosquito, New Generation, or Next Generation, or whatever they called it. That was my favorite Robotech storyline. Lancer was actually my favorite Robotech character. I have a tendency to pick favorites that aren't most other people's favorites. Really good cover here. This was Firefly showed up and pulled some stuff, and Storm Shadow just kept countering everything he'd do. It was pretty cool. He was probably there too. Would have been cool to have met up, Victor. And Mosquito is dope. Yes. I love the whole Robotech saga. I even like Robotech Masters, not as much as the other ones, but it was still some interesting storytelling with Zor. But I prefer Mosquito. Scott Bernard, great character. Rand was a neat character. Lunk, I liked. Rook, it had to be one of the coolest characters in the Robotech storyline. Annie, not so much. I wasn't a big fan of her, but she fit right in the storyline. It wouldn't have been the same without her. So I did like the Invid. Let me see. I can't remember their names. Sierra was the gal. I can't remember the guy's name. Victor says he loved the whole saga. Let me see. Oh my goodness, dude. I have that. My brother bought the soundtrack, and he gave me a copy. So I have Lonely Soldier Boy and I get to listen to it whenever I want. I listen to it quite often. It's one of my favorite songs. Love it all. Have all the novels and RPG games. Victor says again, I loves the whole saga. Me too, dude. I even like Robotech 2: The Sentinels, which I have on my copy of Robotech the series. I have the complete series, and they had in the last bits where they were they got all the special features and stuff. I actually have Robotech 2: The Sentinels on that, which was interesting. I wish they did more stuff with it. And Spicer says, "Nice, Victor." That pops into my head sometimes too. Yes, all the time, man. Lonely Soldier Boy, Annie and Lunk. Yes. Yeah, my wife's yelling at the cat now too. Friends with the voice actor for Lunk. Cool. I liked Lunk was a neat character. I really liked him. Got the Sentinels as well, and also the comics. Cool. I had some of the comics. I might still have those. I kept a lot of my indie comics. Because I liked a lot of them. I've got some. I'll probably show off one day in a video. Sentinels novels were cool. Didn't ever get to check any of those out, sir. But I'll take your word for it because I love Robotech. Backhand Studio says, Jason says, "See now, you got me. You got to let me run my Robotech game because I love the franchise." Hey, dude, I'll play, dude. Yeah, nice, exactly. Yeah, Backhead Studios is going to be in my military action game coming up. So he's actually doing a lot of work on it for me. He's helping me out with its destruction. Let me see. I'll make a video on the novels. There are like 20 of them. That would be cool, Spine Ticks, because I'd really like to know what I'm looking for. And Victor says, "Yeah, Mechhead." Robotech, man, loved it. And then we start with the Snake Eyes era, when it was all just Snake Eyes, G.I. Joe starring Snake Eyes for a long time. And I'm pretty sure I have all of these. Snake Eyes and Ninja Force. Yeah. Yes, do it. I agree. Scarlett pretended like she joined Cobra for a while. It was a neat storyline. Wasn't very believable, and I don't believe Cobra Commander fell for it for a second. Definitely cool stuff here. Let's see. Snake Eyes' exposure is like Wolverine and Marvel. Yes, sir. And see, Victor says, "I love the random encounter charts in the Invid Invasion book." I never got to play Robotech, so that would be something I'd definitely be down for. Speaking my language, Victor. That's what Spine Tick says. All right. Well, you're going to do a Robotech video tomorrow, so we'll have to check that out. Let's see. Destro and the Baroness. I can't remember. This is while they were still on their own there for a bit. Hey, Victor says, "What? Never." Yeah, it's fine. I show the RPG book on my video tomorrow. Cool. I will definitely check it out. I do have to go out for a bit with my son, but that shouldn't be all day. And then just the GM Cody thing later on in the evening. 7 o'clock for me here on Mountain Time, so I don't know what that is for you guys. For him, that's Central, so I think that would be 8 o'clock.
She's knocking ancient G.I. Joes down, so you don't want.
Oh, okay. She's attacking my G.I. Joe wall in the other room. That's not good, little girl. Yeah. She's trying to get my attention, I guess. Let's see what we got. You have got to play Invid, Chris. I would love to. I really would. Okay, let's see. Then we have the Snake Eyes story continuing, and they reintroduce the Transformers and Cobra rebuilt Megatron into a tank. Interesting storyline. It really was. The deal with this one, though, was they went right into Transformers Generation 1, and I'm pretty sure I still have issue 1 of that storyline, too. And so they had that continued into the next issue, and this is the whole bit where Scarlet was still pretending to be part of Cobra. So it was kind of interesting. The whole G.I. Joe starring Snake Eyes and the Transformers there for a bit. But it pretty much, oh, there's a few. Looks like they had 4 with the Transformers. Snake Eyes, Ninja Force, and the Transformers. Definitely different storytelling for Larry Hama, but still really cool. Yeah, Victor's going to be right back. Well, we're getting into some of the ones. This was another one not written by Larry Hama, if I remember correctly. So I'm pretty sure there was only 3 in the whole series that were not written by Larry Hama, maybe 4. But I'm pretty sure most of them were. Well, definitely most of them. This was a storyline that harkened back to something that happened way early on in like the first 10 issues. And they had Scarlet reminiscing about something that happened that wasn't covered in that issue way back in the way early run of G.I. Joe. So it was kind of cool. He kind of did some Scarlet storylines. He knew the series was ending, I think, at this point. So he tried to do all the Scarlet stories he can because Larry Hama has said on many occasions Scarlet was his favorite Joe. So and they did some story, a more origin story for Snake Eyes. He was just doing what he wanted there at the last, except with few exceptions. I mean, I know he had to have Snake Eyes be the star, but it was still G.I. Joe versus Cobra, as this cover points out succinctly. In this issue, Cobra Commander wins, and he did. It was actually really cool. And they showed him without his mask in this a lot, but he had his hair back in a ponytail, and he had a black mustache. So I was like, is that really Cobra Commander? It was like weird. But then they had the Star Brigade storyline, which was decent. I wasn't a big Star Brigade fan, but Larry Hama did it in a fairly decent light, and I'm pretty sure it was a 3-issue arc. Because it stopped being, that was the last one. That was the Snake Eyes, starring Snake Eyes, and then it was, the first one was Star Brigade, and then they had the next one. Good storyline where they teamed up with the October Guard to go into outer space. It was pretty interesting. Let me see. Spinetick says, Robotech had me buy an airbrush to paint models, and I suck at painting, but they came out well. Wish I knew you guys back then. Ain't that the truth, man? But I'm glad to know you now, my friend. And then they had the third part of the Star Brigade. So if you're in the Star Brigade, those are the issues 146, 147, and 148. I'm going to have to go back through these and make sure I put them back in the right order. It looks like we might be able to get to the special missions because I have a little bit here that I wanted to talk about at the last. And Victor says, ditto, sir. My cat. It's on the warpath tonight. All right, this is when they got Destro and Zartan, and they back by weird implants. It was kind of a Scooby-Doo MacGuffin device way of getting Destro and Zartan back on Cobra, and then they brainwashed Billy and the Baroness to be Cobra again. And let's see, Victor says, hey, Spine, do you remember Robotech? Robolinks. You know, that sounds vaguely familiar, Victor. And they had the giant-size 150th issue, Snake Eyes versus Cobra Commander. Of course, Cobra Commander had a battle armor suit under his suit. It was kind of neat. Let's see. Victor says it was a money grab. Yeah, that's probably why I didn't know it. I don't know, Victor, whether he said it was a money grab, but I don't know much about it either. It just sounds familiar. All right, we only got a few left in this run because it stopped on 155, and it looks like I'll take a look at the special missions real quick, and then I'll wrap things up, guys. We've been on here over an hour and a half just looking at G.I. Joe comics and chatting. It's pretty cool. There, Joe Colton came back, and they did a salute, 30th anniversary salute to Joe Colton, the original Joe. Very good storyline of how JFK actually started the G.I. Joe team with Joe Colton. So it was pretty cool. And then you got the last few. I think one of these was not written by Larry Hama. I think it was this one. Could be wrong on that. No, it was the next one. This was the one where he introduced the Blue Ninjas, if I'm not mistaken. Let's see. Victor says the Robolinks was a toy set that came out during the show's original run, and it sucked. It sucked enough that you mentioned it all this time later. Yeah, this one was another like flashback storyline featured Roadblock, and I'm pretty sure this one wasn't written by Larry Hama. So 4, I think, in the whole series, but the rest all Hama. That's a pretty good run. It's a very impressive for a Marvel comic, at least. I think maybe only Chris Claremont and the X-Men lasted longer. I'm not sure. And then, of course, you have the last issue where they shut down the pit, and he ended his Marvel Comics run, and I have 2 of them. I really, this was a really, really well-made comic. Snake Eyes wrote a letter to the guy who ended up becoming Sean Broca, I think his name was. He ended up becoming Throwdown, Kamakura, same guy, even Snake Eyes for a while. Let's see, Victor says, it was worse than the Wildcats cereal. Well, all right. That's the original 155 issues of G.I. Joe that I'm missing about 10 of. Not that many, really. But I do have all the special missions, and we'll take a quick look at these, and I'm just going to make sure there's no dust or dirt in there. I switched to plastic boxes because I've had all sorts of problems with vectors and water damage and fires in my life, so I finally switched to plastic, and that ended that. But there's your special missions number 1. Really cool storyline involving a Russian defector. Cobra tried to show up and mess things up. So Cobra was in the first issue of Special Missions. They weren't in all of them, but they were in most of them. Number 2 is a really good Clutch storyline where he led a team of Joes into South America after a old Nazi that had fled from The Hague. And so that was a neat storyline. And I'm just going to put these in here and switch buckets here. And let me see here. This one with another Stalker cover, right? He's right there. He led this mission with Slipstream where they tried to steal a plane out of this country. It was good storyline. This is my favorite, led by Wild Bill. Too bad Cody wasn't able to stick around for this, but Lifeline's first appearance, if I'm not mistaken, it showed Leatherneck really didn't like Lifeline, but Lifeline turned out to be a pretty cool character in this. Save the day. Then we come to Victor's favorite. Number 5. Wasn't that the one you said was your favorite? Another one like the one with Ace and Lady J, Wild Weasel, and 34, I think it was, way back. Another Duel in the Skies, only this one involved a lot of the pilots. It was pretty cool. This one actually focused a lot on the Cobras, and there was a bit in here where they showed, like you were saying, it showed the difference between how the Joes treat their crew and how the Cobras treat their crew. And the Cobras didn't care when their Raven pilot hit the drink and didn't have his breakaway bar, and they were like, they had it in their hands and go, well, better not let Command see you that. And he just threw it out of the helicopter. Yes, really cool storyline. This one continued over. This was when Outback escaped Barovia, when Stalker, Quick Kick, and Snow Job were sent to the Gulag. So we got some cool stuff in the Special Mission storyline. Most of them were standalone stories, though. I did like a lot of them, but we'll just go through these real quick. The Cobra Raven was awesome, yes. Night Raven is one of the best Cobra vehicles they ever put out. I had it, but mine really, I played with it. I broke it all up and ended up leaving it behind in a garage on a move. And I wish I hadn't done that, but it wasn't in any shape to repair anyway. I mean, I might have been able to. I've never really been good at that kind of stuff. A neat issue with Low Light. as the main character. Well, the prominently featured character, I should say. Don't really remember much about this one. Neat cover, though. I think that's supposed to be a Russian Hind helicopter. Hey, they did one with the October Guard. Yeah, I'm pretty sure October Guard was in this one. And this was Prince Nagato, and I think he came back later on. This guy right here, if I can get my finger on the right spot. Chuckles and Roadblock helped this guy, and he wasn't sure whether he was going to support Cobra or G.I. Joe, but it was a good issue. Lots of fun. Special missions usually were. There's another one I don't remember much about. So see, Spinetick said, sad I had the October Guard Con exclusive box set of figures and later sold it. Yeah, I never was able to get many of the October Guard. I've got a few of them. I got some in a comic pack, and then I got a few here and there. I have Red Star, but he came out in the regular line in 91, and then Big Bear. Oh, man. Yeah, oh, man. I agree, Victor. And this, I remember the storyline well. Firefly stole the Vector, and Maverick got in the biplane and chased him down. Very cool special mission storyline. And this was the last one I actually acquired in the series. This is that one I was talking about with Lightfoot on his training mission. Very good issue. Dusty was in command. As far as I know, the only comic where Dusty was in command of a mission. Really cool storyline. Yes, sir, Dusty. Got a Joe take on Dusty already. I think he was my number 7 in my series. So I got my opinion of him. I got my classified figure. I took a look at him. So now this was kind of weird because this was in the time where Hawk was arrested and Roadblock was out trying to clear his name, and a bunch of Joes that were not arrested went and rescued him. But Snake Eyes, Iceberg, Chuckles, and Scarlet were on a mission together. So those people who don't think Chuckles and Snake Eyes ever appeared together need to read Special Missions. But Chuckles was in command, and this storyline actually lasted like 3 issues, but not all in a row. It was kind of interesting. And it happened during that time when Hawk was in prison, and they had a really hard time getting him back because they were like deep in an Asian country. Very cool stuff. This was the second part of that, and it just continued the storyline. They didn't often do continuations of the special missions, but this was a really good one. Then they went away from that for a couple issues and did another Ace storyline. It was pretty cool. And then they had, like I said, they went away for a couple issues. This one actually happened after. It's kind of weird, but a good storyline. Scrap Iron actually had a big part in this. And the Joes were in this bunker that was like in Southern California in Silicon Valley. I think there is where they were at. And the company actually was trying to pull one over on the United States, but the Joes figured it out. Really good storyline. And then they finally wrapped up that storyline with Chuckles, Snake Eyes, Scarlet, and Iceberg. And they had Wild Bill actually show up to save the day. And if I remember right, Missile appears larger in the mirror. Yes, sir. Yes, it does. Remember right? They had Wild Bill and Lift Ticket on this long mission with Muskrat and a few other Joes where they were going to pick up Snake Eyes and Chuckles and them. And this is how they got there. So it was really cool. Yes, that was funny. Yeah, let me see here. Then they had an Arctic mission with Snow Job, and they had the Cobra Wolf in here. Really good storyline with the Cobra Wolf. Great Arctic adventure, if I remember right. It's like I said, it's been a long time since I read a lot of these. I've read this one very well because it features Airtight. Naturally, one of my favorite lines in this is Cobra had made this stink bomb and they were all talking about it. And they all, when they smelled it, they were shouting rotten eggs, dead skunk, and I'm pretty sure Airtight said even worse. So it was a pretty bad stink bomb. But my favorite special missions, I know Victor's is number 5, but mine is this one with Shockwave. And this whole storyline, if you haven't read this one, really good issue of special missions to have. I had to actually reacquire this one because I sold it out of my shop. I loved it so much I sold it. Another good stalker cover. Ooh, you know what? I might use that one. That's a really good one. This was a little bit on Scoop and how he joined the Joes and his value to the team. And then we had this one. I'm pretty sure this one was not written by Larry Hama, one of the few. But it had like CoverGirl, Scarlet, and Lady J. Hawk had them in cheerleader outfits, and they were all mad at him. But they were undercover at a baseball game. Ricondo's hat was cool. Yes, it was. I agree with that statement. The classified Ricondo is really cool, and I should be doing a review of him or a look at him, my Joe take on him. I don't really do reviews. I just kind of show off the figure and give my opinion of the character. Have fun with it. Tiger Force, the only Tiger Force issue of G.I. Joe. Pretty good. Of course, they didn't use all the regular Tiger Force characters that were in the action figures. But it was a good issue and kind of misleading the cover. There was a dinosaur in this issue, but it wasn't as terrifying as that. And you got your another Grim Reaper cover. This is the one where the original October Guard, most of them met their fates, man. Very cool issue. Was actually the second half of another one that is in some of those that I'm missing in the 90s of the 155 issue run. But a good storyline. I'm glad I have that one. I think this was another one that wasn't written by Larry Hama. It was kind of a Outback Quick Kick and Stalker go to Mexico for the day. They had a little job to do, and then they ended up getting involved with some group that took over this bus. It was kind of cool. But then the finale to Special Missions, really cool issue, and they end it with the space shuttle landing on the USS Flag. So definitely a cool one to pick up. Definitely a lot of aerial battles. Larry Hama liked to do those occasionally, and he'd do them well. But he only do them once in a while. It made them more special, I think. So that would be all I'm looking at today. I do have, well, I got a few more special missions I can look at real quick that were from the Devil's Due run. That's right. Yeah, this one, Manhattan. Beachhead led this team. And then there was this one in Tokyo where it revealed that, well, I don't know if it revealed it, but they had Wild Bill and Gung Ho in this one, as well as Jinx was the main character. And her and Budo had a relationship. That's what I don't know if that's where they revealed it, but that's where I found out about it. And then you had, I love this Antarctica mission. Snow Job, Iceberg, Frostbite, great comic. Devil's Due put out some interesting storylines. Definitely not Larry Hama stuff, but good stuff. Yeah, didn't buy the 9 Hama titles. I didn't a lot. I didn't buy a lot of them, but I saw Special Missions and I picked up the one with Beachhead. I really liked it, so I ended up trying to get all of them. I'm not sure if I did or not. I'm not really hip on all these, but I managed to get 4 of them. I really like this one though, with Shipwreck and CoverGirl. And they ended up being a couple in the Devil's Due series, which was kind of interesting and weird at the same time. But anyway, that's my run on Special Missions and what I've got of the 155 Marvel run. Love Jinx 2. She's definitely out of the ladies. I think mine goes Lady J, Scarlet, Jinx, and then everybody else. But it's hard to decide with the ladies because I like them all. But definitely my favorite lady of the G.I. Joe verse is Baroness. That's for sure. You're welcome. I still have a little bit I wanted to talk about, but I'll be wrapping that up really quick. Snow job, snowmobile was sturdy. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. It was. Um, that was the Polar Battle Bear. I like that one. I ended up I had one, but mine was really jacked up, and I ended up getting one years later in a 2-pack with the rock slide that they replaced it with a new version of Snow Job and a new original version of Snow Job. It was pretty cool. Now, what I want to go over with some of the other books I had. I do have the Ultimate Guide to G.I. Joe, 82 to 94. This actually showcases all the figures in year order. It is really cool. If you're a collector of G.I. Joe, this is a must-have. Now, this is like the 3rd edition. They had a couple others before this that were paperback, but the 3rd one they came out in hardback. I think they really nailed it. I wish they'd do the same thing for the 2000s, the 97 and the 2000s, and then one for the modern figures too. I wish they would do one of this. It is a nice book, Victor, and if you don't have one of these and you're a collector, definitely one to pick up. You never seen that, Spine Ticks? This is your collector's guide to G.I. Joe right here. And then if you're into the file cards, another one they had is the Ultimate Guide of G.I. Joe's versus Cobra, the Essential Guide. I'm sorry. They did have an Ultimate Guide, but I wasn't really fond of that one. I always get the titles mixed up. I don't know who Pablo Hidalgo is. Apparently, he's a pretty famous dude in the gaming world. I'm not really sure. Well, he's an author too. But I do like I happen to open it up to the Baroness, accidentally on purpose, right? Yeah, these nice. It did basically a bio for not every G.I. Joe, but it got pretty close. So there's those. Let me see. Victor says, I'm a former collector, but I always loved G.I. Joe. Me too, dude. But I still collect the classified. They sucked me in. I like these books so much, this Essential Guide, that I decided I wanted to make my own. So I started with making, I put a bunch of the file cards together in this little booklet. And then I made one, that's for 82 to 85. And then I made one for 86 to 87. And now I have the other ones that I made, but I never printed them up. And I actually did one for each year too. But again, those are the only two I printed up. And then that takes me to the G.I. Joe role-playing game. This is a very sweet-looking book. I am just kind of disappointed because it used the G.I. Joe. G.I. Joe. They used the D20 clone system, and I'm not a big fan of it. It did not work for G.I. Joe, in my opinion. I mean, I read most of this book. I got to about here, so you can see how much of it I read. And I was thinking about running G.I. Joe campaign, and then I got talking with Elfbait, another good YouTube channel, so you guys can hit up his channel. He's got a bunch of good stuff about it. He likes to talk RPGs and what would make good RPGs. And him, and Mechhead Studios actually did a live stream on his channel where we talked about making a G.I. Joe role-playing game and what it all would entail. And everybody kept saying, man, we should do this. We should do this. And I finally said, I'm going to do this. And that's what brought about the MAG game. So the military action game that I'm putting together. And I should have that next year at some point. I mean, it's coming along a lot quicker than I thought. I mean, I use Linharo as a template. So it's technically a Linharo clone. So if those of you who are familiar with Linharo Fantasy Adventures, the combat system is identical, but what is different is how you make your characters. In the military action game, you have factions and military occupational specialties instead of race and lifestyle like we do in Linharo. But it relatively is the same game, just different terminology. And I clarified a few things, and it's going to be my first Splinterscape, which are definitely genre-based campaigns. So that's kind of what I wanted to bring up before I ended my live stream tonight. And that's what brought about it, is all these years of reading G.I. Joe, and this RPG book right here, I was so excited to get, and it's beautiful. and I managed to have the money when just after it came out, and I picked it up. And then it wasn't that the book itself disappointed me; it's the application of the game system itself. So somebody else might really like it if you're really familiar with the G20 systems of games, and you like those. You might like the G.I. Joe version. I just didn't like. They didn't do first primary military specialties or secondary specialties, and it's like that's G.I. Joe. Well, we're what were you thinking? So a lot of it, as a G.I. Joe fan, I was just a little disappointed. Spytech says you heard the reviews weren't so great of that book, but it looks cool. It's definitely beautiful. The artwork in this is just probably one of the ones I really like. I mean, they got a picture of Zartan here, and they tried to go a lot with the G.I. Joe Classified series, but ones that weren't classified, they did their own bit. And you got that. There we go. You got an APC there with a Motor Viper on it, and then you got. I'm pretty sure that's supposed to be a HISS tank there. Or nope, that's the front of the APC again. So it looks like the Cobras were trying to tackle my favorite video game. And let's see. Spytech said a while back that he just bought 3 Robotech models while the stream was going. It's going back into tabletop, baby. And Victor says, nice, Spytech. And Spytech says, thanks, Victor. So I'm glad you guys enjoyed the chat. I enjoyed having you here, and hope you guys enjoyed the stream. And good night, all. And I like to sign out by saying Logan out. And we'll see you when we see you.
G.I. Joe will return after these messages.